I remember you had this client. He was a Jewish client. He would give you like 6 listings or 3 listings. And João Carlos, literally, I'm not kidding you. This is the picture I want you guys to have. He'd be playing video games, eating cereal. His phone would ring, and he would make like $5,000. And it was just the most absurd thing ever because I'm over here. I'm like, what is he doing differently than I am? Get ready for Real Lives of Real Estate, where the world of real estate meets the essence of your life. Buckle up as we unravel stories, homes, and the heartbeat behind it all. Let's dive into another episode. I hope you share and are encouraged. All right, I'm here with João Carlos, trusted friend of mine, a brother, pastor, leader, and most unknown is actually the reason, the plug that I got into real estate. Insane. João, we're grateful to have you, brother. And tell these people how I say your name, because I'm going to say 6 different times.
Bro, so my name is João, which is Portuguese.
João.
And you're Brazilian, so you should know this, but the way Brendan says it is João.
Well, there's 2 types of Portuguese. There's Portuguese and the Portuguese de Portugal.
Bro, there's Portuguese from Portugal, bro. That's the Portuguese. Okay. It's a joke, brother. It's a joke. Bro, so I live in a community right now in North Florida. Mm-hmm. There's no Portuguese people from Portugal. So every time they're like, oh, so your name is Portuguese. Are you from Brazil? Everyone thinks I'm Brazilian. And I love my Brazilian brothers and sisters, though. So
yeah,
we'll give them a pass.
We love you back. So I will share this question. It's my favorite question to ask each guest on our podcast here. Real lives of real estate. How does real estate impact you? But the question is, what did you grow up in? You actually have a pretty interesting, because you came from Portugal, right?
Yeah, I came from Portugal. This one, I was actually really excited to talk with you because, bro, we got history, man. History. You've been in real estate how long now?
7 years as a realtor. Yeah. Okay.
Like 7 years as a realtor. Yeah. So I can't wait to get into some stories. We're going to have some juicy stuff. But so I grew up in a village, probably didn't have more than, my dad said once that the village we grew up in Portugal had about 250 people. My mom said 400 at one point.
Max
very
1,000.
small. Very
Super small.
Now, you've had your guests here, Carlos and Avelino, which were my cousins.
Oh, yes.
We grew up in the same little village of a town called Newark in Portugal. So it's by Algueria Velha and by Aveiro. And, man, we grew up with like 400 people. My dad built the house with his hands.
God.
To marry my mother.
To marry your mother?
Brother,
what does the house have to do with the mother?
Listen, because back in the day, men knew what to do. Listen, back in the day, you're talking about men knew what to do. You had to build something. And I admired my dad and my uncle. They built this house with their hand. And that's what you did when you got married.
Wow.
You built something. And, man, my dad did that. He was like 17 years old, bro, building a house for my mom. And so we come from this little village, and the house is still there. Owning real estate was the cream of the crop. If you knew you were successful as an immigrant when you owned property, and there was like great ownership. And I remember my dad, busting his butt every single day, my mom busting her butt every day. And we grew up in a home because these immigrants came here with little to nothing, and they built something, and real estate just meant a lot to us. So.
You came to the country at 4, right? Or 3?
I think it was a little younger than 3, something like that. Yeah.
3, okay, let's say you're 2, 3, 4 years old. Now, when you moved to America, because you guys had a house in Portugal, I imagine your parents owned the house.
Yeah, it's still there, yeah.
Oh, they still own it?
Yeah, it's still there, brother. Yeah. It's crazy.
They don't still own this house.
Yeah, they do. In fact, they're going to knock it down and build a new one. But yeah, they stole the property.
Okay.
It's theirs, bro.
So your parents moved to America. Where did they live when they moved here?
We came to Newark, right off Market Street in Newark, New Jersey.
In Ironbound?
Yeah, we grew up in the Ironbound, man.
Wow. Okay, so when you moved to Ironbound, do you remember where you guys lived?
Right off Market Street. Yeah, it was an apartment.
So your parents came here and they kind of already had work lined up, more or less?
I don't remember. I was just a baby.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw them work themselves up into the middle class. Yeah.
How long were you guys in that 2-bedroom apartment?
I don't remember. It must have been just a couple years, like 2 to 3 years. And
when do you think and then did you guys move? You guys moved out of Newark, but how old were you? 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, something like that. My parents bought a 2-family house in Carney.
Wow. So I thought you went from Newark to Rahway.
No. We lived in Carney, New Jersey. So I grew up every morning waking up and looking at the city right across the Hudson. Wow. And that was my dad's first house that he bought. And I remember thinking, oh, my parents have tenants. It was like, oh, we made it. You know what I mean? Like my dad has tenants.
And how old are you at that point?
I don't know. I must have been like 7, 8 or 9, around those.
Maybe less than 10. Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. This is very interesting, actually. Because I'm thinking here, one thing I always wonder is, what was the first time that I came across and really understood that my parents had money or that they didn't have money.
Right.
So I always think about, because they say, oh, you have your story and your life story, but then you also have like a money story, right? How you grew and how you like understood money. And really, when it comes to real estate, we all live under, hopefully not all of us, but hopefully one day we all live in safe shelter and we have these resources. I think about your story there. You're like, oh, we kind of made it, right? Your parents had the single family house in Portugal. Obviously, you don't remember it, right? And then you're like sub 5, and then you end up going to the Ironbound. You end up 2 bedroom. You're so young. You really, what does it make sense? You're 5, 6, 7.
For sure.
But then when you're like 8, 9, 10, you end up, your parents bought that 2 family in Carney,
Right.
Driveway. The nice picket backyard fence. Maybe you had a dog.
Quite literally.
Right.
In fact, they were so Portuguese. My dad would try to raise chickens in the back. And here we are in Chicken, New Jersey. I said Chicken, New Jersey. Chicken, New Jersey.
Chicken, New Jersey.
Chicken, New Jersey.
Coming at you live.
Governor, think of that. We've got to, let's replace Harrison.
The Garden State?
Just kidding.
No, the Garden State? Just put the Chicken State.
Yeah. So my dad had a bunch of chickens in the back. We would hear chicken noises. It was like Carney, New Jersey, like roosters. And in fact, people thought we were bizarre, but it's just cool seeing immigrants grow up in a country like this.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think. Honestly, that's funny too, because probably was against code to have chicken as a
100%. Of course it was.
It's like you can't have a cow in your backyard. So it is funny too, because you got to think, we always talk about how real estate impacts our lives.
Yeah.
And in this case, you guys in Ironbound, you couldn't bring over the culture of having your own eggs in the morning, right? The eggs from the chickens that you raised. But now over here in the Carney, you have a little bit more freedom. You have the backyard, and it really did shape not only your lifestyle, it shaped your breakfast. It seems like
100%.
Wow. How did you when you said you made it when your dad collected rent? Do you have any recollection of that? Or?
Bro, I remember thinking my dad felt like a hero to me. Like, and of course, like our relationship isn't perfect, but I remember looking back and be like, my dad came from a country. He didn't come here with much money at all, actually. They came with almost nothing. And he was able to do this. And he bought this property, and now he's collecting rent from someone upstairs that lives. And conceptually, I understood that as like a 6, 7-year-old. I remember thinking, my dad is a hero. If he can make it, I can make it too. And bro, that's the dream, bro. The fact that you can come from nothing and actually build yourself to be something. And my dad exemplified that with real estate, which is the coolest thing in the world. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now, how old were you when you guys left Carney?
So I forgot, bro. I think we were like 11, 12, and they bought.
So you guys moved there a lot.
I mean, yeah,
you were from Portugal. Think about this: every 4 years, you guys moved. You moved from Portugal to America at 3.
Yeah.
Then, so you're going farmland in Portugal to inner city Newark at 3 to 7.
Sure.
From 3 to 7, you guys were 3 to 6. You're rocking there. Then 6 to 10,
I
you're
think it was like 6 to 12.
Okay.
And then we went to Rahway after 6 years.
Okay, so after 6 years, now you go to Rahway. You're how old?
Around 12 years old. And my dad, they bought a 1-acre property.
In Rahway?
In Rahway, New Jersey. Yeah, it was one of the largest. It's still, till this day, they only sold it a couple years ago. I think it was 0.96 of an acre. Right there. And so, bro.
Huge lot in Rahway.
It was a very huge lot, yeah. And man, I saw my parents. My mom was in the fashion industry. I would see my dad wake up every single day at 4:30 in the morning because he worked for local 731 in New York City. And man, they were doing big jobs like the Freedom Tower. He was part of the foundation team. And I saw them work their butt off to afford that home. Man, I saw my parents go from immigrants with nothing to owning like almost a 1-acre property in Rahway, New Jersey. It was special to watch him do that, you know?
Yeah. What kind of impact did you guys moving from the 2-family to a single family have? And did you guys sell the 2-family when you moved to Rahway, or did you keep it?
You know, it's funny because I think back now, I don't think people probably advised my parents correctly. Because I mean, it depends what your philosophy of owning real estate's like. But I mean, if you want to buy and hold, I think it's good. Now looking back, I think my parents should have held it.
Oh, they sold it when they moved.
Yeah, they sold it when they moved, and I understand they made some good income on. They
probably made profit. Probably used it as a down payment in the next place.
100%. But it's the traditional immigrant ideology. They don't think, not always, right, of like building like an empire or legacy for your family and like buying and holding real estate and just having value go up on those properties. It wasn't like they didn't think like that. For them,
they didn't want to be a landlord. Probably they were probably over it.
For them, it was about, oh, this is our kingdom, this is our family, and we're going to build our family. They didn't think like that, right? Which is, it's a cool foundation to have, though, now that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were present. Maybe they wouldn't be able to afford that single family if they kept the
100%. Yeah, there's always
variables.
Yeah.
But how did the single family impact you, do you think? Because I've been to your house in the place in Rahway. It was beautiful, large, great backyard, huge backyard. What do you think your life would have been different if you would have stayed in the 2-bedroom apartment in Newark, right, Newark, versus going to the Rahway, right? And I tell clients this all the time when we're helping clients buy a house. Say, hey, where you move, if you want to move to Newark, great. We love Newark.
Yeah.
But the reality is, Newark is going to give you and your family a different living experience than a more suburban town will. How did you feel like that impacted you?
Well, this is my story. Obviously, there's external factors.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go. Reality is, though, I would have been the same human being. Because
you think you would have been the same human being?
100%.
But impossible.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I believe that home life dictates a lot of who you are in life.
I agree.
And mom and dad, bro, were the same in Carney than they were in Rahway. And so for me, I don't think much changed, to be honest with you.
What you were exposed to, the friends
100%.
you made.
Well, no, Rahway's very diverse as well.
Rahway's diverse.
Oh my gosh, yeah, of course, bro. Sometimes I was in certain classes. Sometimes it was like 2 white kids, 2 Asian kids, 2 Hispanic kids. Maybe like 3 or 4 black kids. And then you had some Indian kids. It was really, really diverse.
Brother, what are we talking about? This is a melting pot of the world, Rahway? Amazing.
100%, brother.
But you're talking about race. I'm talking about like socioeconomic.
Sure.
Like Rahway was probably much more stable financially than like Hawkins Street in Newark, right? Or like South 11th Street is.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about socioeconomic, of course though.
So you gotta say, I think you would, brother. I think you would have actually came out. You probably would have came out honestly. You want to hear my opinion?
Go ahead.
You might have been. I hate to talk bad about the Newark school systems. I'm not saying Rahway's perfect, but you may have came out a little bit less educated as you did. You may have come out a little. You got to think Newark school is like what 31 to 1. Now, thankfully,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so external factors.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better in schools, and we're very grateful. But brother, you were in Newark like 30 years ago, man. 25 years ago.
Well, no, I just turned 30, so yeah,
25,
something like that.
Yeah, bro, that's a quarter of a century.
Yeah, for sure.
Imagine you had grown up in Newark like that. It's a whole different world. We just had someone here today who was telling about his story. He's like, we would be playing football in the street, and then guys would roll up, and you had to defend yourself.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, you just playing? You playing with the ball, and out of nowhere you were getting jumped for no reason?
For sure.
He's like,
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, so I think the environment really, you're right. Your home life does dictate a lot of your life, and that's definitely the number, because that's like the most influential thing. But I do think really what I'm learning and how real estate's so impactful. We think real estate, we think buildings or houses. Really, a city is that's real estate, and they're city planners, right? So city planners, they basically plan out how the infrastructure of a city is laid
100%.
out. And it's remarkable how it can actually impact us. There's even they did a blue zone in Montana, where the people live above 90, and they actually made most of they I believe Utah. They did in Utah, and what they did was they actually introduced more bike paths, and they brought all the stores into the center of town. So when you park, guess what you did? And they didn't do store, house. They did store, house. Why? Because it was like a village.
Sure.
So because it was a village, the people actually, believe it or not, lived longer.
100%.
Prescription medication went down.
Yeah.
Why? Because the community that we're part of, the real estate, it not only impacts our day-to-day, it literally impacts who we are as people.
Right. Yeah, and that's a cool idea though. The fact that blue zones, like when people talk about blue zones, they think about like a vegan diet, foods in like high omega 3s, or the air. I mean, or like the fact that in some places they work for their food, right?
Yep.
So you're 75, 80 years old working for their food. One thing that they don't talk about, especially growing up in parts of Europe, man, these people live long because they have incredible community. Incredible community. In fact, like there's even studies that came out. Your immune system is better when you have good community. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
Your body's healthy when you have the right people around you.
Wow.
So I do understand your line of questioning now. It makes complete sense.
It's a strong point, right?
100%.
And even, the community aspect too. You lived in a cul-de-sac, right?
It was a cul-de-sac.
Beautiful street in Rahway. Did you guys know your neighbors there or not so much?
We did, yeah, for sure. I mean, one neighbor complained that, because my parents love to throw parties. So my mom, and I grew up with my mom throwing parties like every single weekend. July 4th, we had like 150 people back there in the backyard. My mom was a gatherer. And so our neighbors on the side would like constantly call the cops on us for that reason.
So this is not a good neighbor to have. This guy is not. The Pianos family over here partying it up.
Yeah. No, so it definitely impacted, us for sure. So yeah.
You guys may not know this. I'm going to give you a big shout out here. João Carlos got me into real estate. Here's my story. He sent me in the mail a letter with his business card, super 1990s office vibe. This is 2013.
13, bro.
What ended up happening was you sent me this you sent me the business card. And I looked at it, I was like, what the heck is João Carlos doing real estate? I was like, oh, I text you. I was like, proud of you, man. Nice. Encouraging you, right? And then you're like, you should get into real estate. And you try to pitch me. I said, that's not for me. My mom was pitching me. I was like, that's not for me. And then what ended up happening was before I became a realtor, I applied actually because, I was in like rock bottom in my life. And I went through 3 rounds of interviews for a job that was going to pay me $12 an hour, $13 an hour. And I didn't take the job because it was like, I didn't get the job rather. Because I had a record. And I was like, I can't get the job. I walk away. I'm crying from the interview. I'm so disappointed. And it was literally like washing senior citizens who are mentally handicapped. Very difficult job. And it was like, oh my gosh, I can't even do this. I had a college degree. Then I walk into my car. I'm crying. I call Ben at Honeywell. Bennett's like, Brendan, you know what? Why don't you take João up on his offer, man? Maybe real estate could be for you. I say, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so embarrassed. Anyways, so then finally I'm thinking it through. That next day, I went to Florida for a internship. For a men's retreat. And I called you and I said, listen, João, I'm going to go forward with what would happen? Do you remember?
Well, I remember because
I don't remember the conversation. I remember what you did.
I was also preaching as well. Okay. And I was traveling. I was preaching.
Yeah, so the youth, right?
A bunch of stuff. And I remember you called me when I was like preparing a message.
I called you from a parking lot. I said, listen, I'm going to do for you. Like, Brendan, I really think you should. I'm like, I'm not really sure if I should though. And you like kind of pushed me. You sold me on joining real estate.
Yeah.
And you basically, I was like, bro, it's $440 for the course. I had no money in my bank account, like literally $0. And you're like, I'll pay $400. Don't worry. Just sign up for the course. I got you. I said, are you sure? You said yes. At the time, there was, I was just so taken back by your generosity. I was like, $400. This guy's crazy. So then I end up going to sign up for the class, right? The real estate course. And then it said that it wasn't 400, it was 440 tax, whatever, right? Right. So then I called you. I'm like, João Carlos, listen, my bad, man. It's not 400, it's 440. And you were like, Brendan, I only got the 400. You got to figure it out. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? He goes, yeah, man, I sent you the 400. That's all I can do. You got to figure out the 40. I said, okay. I was like, wow, well, you're generous.
Bro.
So I called the lady back.
That's probably all I had left too at that point.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I called the lady back, and you were in real estate, but you really weren't popping off yet. You were just gaining your momentum, I think, at that time.
It was at the very beginning.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So then, basically $40. I say, hey, I don't have the $40. What can we do? She goes, well, write me a good Google review. In exchange, I'll wash away the $40. So I gave her a 5-star Google review.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, so that's what ended up happening. Fast forward, I end up passing the course. I join you at Exit Realty Lucky.
That's right.
Here in the great city of
Newark. Yeah.
And you take me under your wing. I want to pause there. Tell these people about me a little bit because you have the. You were with me day one.
So shout out to Candido Couto, by the way. To my man Candido Couto. He's one of the
Candido,
reasons.
Yes.
He's one of the reasons. I love that man and his family stuff.
I just saw him in Ironman.
Great people, and I don't know if they're watching this, but essentially they're the reasons I went to Exit Realty.
Really?
Because he recruited me.
From where?
We went to church together actually, so he knew my parents and they had hung out a little bit. But yeah, and then this is where I recruited you, and bro, I remember, man, you pulling up in your. What you're gonna say? You're gonna say something.
Wait, Candido recruited you?
Yeah.
Back in the Exit Realty model, if he recruited me, he recruited you and you recruited me, did he make something off of me or not?
I don't remember.
It was one level?
I don't think so. No, I think it was
right?
one level. I don't remember. I think it was. I could be wrong. Yeah. But bro, I remember you pulling up. Remember the car you had, the beat up Passat, the red beat up Passat.
Oh yeah,
bro. I would hear that thing from my office upstairs. Like outside the window, I knew you were pulling up.
It was a terrible car,
bro. It was a squeak.
But it was a great car,
bro. It was a squeak to that engine, bro. And you would pull up in that thing.
No respect.
Oh,
that's the problem with this generation.
Okay, and so this is the story I want to share.
2003 Volkswagen Passat. I'm grinding 80 hours a week. I'm stealing gas money. No respect.
And so that. At first, I mean, people don't understand like the grind. So I didn't end up being in real estate that long. Obviously, I lasted a couple years,
5 months. Oh
no, I ended up. I'm doing something I love right now. Real estate was amazing, but I remember at the beginning.
How long were you a realtor for? 3 years, 2 years?
No, it was a little over 3 years. Yeah, but I remember when I first started, there was this woman called Rukmini. That was her name. We called her Rookie. She ended up being I got her off Zillow because I was paying for some Zillow ads. And she had called me. This is a really cool girl. And now what I didn't share was that I was going on these showings. I was as a buyer's agent, and I had like holes in my shoes underneath my shoes. I wasn't poor or anything, but I was broke. I just had gone into real estate.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like asking my parents for money. I was trying to figure it out. And there was these holes under my shoes, and I would hope that no one would ever see them. So I would hide them because I didn't have money to buy new shoes. And of course, when you're showing homes and you're walking up the stairs in front of the client, they see underneath the freaking shoe, right?
And I'm gonna be honest, you probably had the money to buy the shoe, but you were just literally.
No, I probably didn't. To be
you
honest
were
with you.
you probably thought this is fashion.
No,
This is fashion.
Listen, bro, I'm not that much. So no, I really didn't have enough shoes, and I was like, please, I hope they don't see these holes. And I would go on these showings, and I would think no one would ever see them. Bro, tell me why this first client I ever work with, I end up showing them like 10 to 12 homes. Man, I bust my butt. I want them to get them a 2 to 3 family. They wanted to make income. Man, I worked so hard. It was one of my first deals ever. And before a deal ever closed, bro, I received these brand new 2 pairs of shoes, bro. Beautiful leather, expensive shoes. And
As a gift from
as
her?
a gift for her, from her.
From her, yeah. Wow.
And I will never forget that moment, bro. When I was
nice.
first beginning my career, it was a client that bought me these holes in under because I had holes under the shoes. And so, man, it's like people think everything is so glamorous all the time.
Oh no, I give you a story right now. Back in the day when I definitely was not making nearly the much money as I am now, I ended up closing a property with this guy Sanchez in Clifton.
Right.
And in the previous owner left a pair of Chelsea boots in the closet.
Chelsea boots.
Yes, the brown Chelsea boots, and they had been like pretty much newish,
Right.
like worn a few times, but nothing crazy, like very very newish. And I was like, he's like, oh my god, the mess. I said, I'll take them. Why not? I'll take them. What size are they? I'll use them. He goes, what? You want to use someone else's shoes? I said, yeah. Meanwhile, I was making like probably a 8K commission on the sale. So it's like, what the heck is this guy doing?
Yeah, bro. I mean, and those things, you remember those things forever, man. I'm still friends with Rookie. Recently she said,
I'm still friends with Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never forget this stuff. And it's like, and it's people that kind of stuck with you at first when you didn't have any name recognition.
Yeah, very nice.
Bro, it
Who
was
just
genuine,
kind.
and they loved you.
Yeah,
and
but you also gave. I remember like some of my clients. I think in the beginning got like the best for. They got the most uneducated version of me, but they got the most of me.
they got the dog, bro.
No, but like not
Yeah.
even this dog. They got the most of me. Right now, if you're a client with me, I'm very, very. I'm gonna give you my time. I'm gonna be very dedicated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. You're getting really a high class expert in what you're looking to do if you're looking to buy or sell, right, in real estate. But I cannot give you 40 hours a week like I used to.
Right,
I can give you 10. I can give you 8. How much time do you want? Right?
right. But it's why your time is more valuable.
Time
now.
is much more valuable.
Yeah, it's why your time is more valuable. I remember she was the first deal I closed, and it was both sides.
Huge.
It was both listing
How are you?
and buyers. And the
Oh, wow.
reason
How'd you get your first listing?
well, the way I got it was because there was an FSBO. It was a for sale by owner.
Ah.
And we were driving around, and she points at it, and she's like, I really like that house. And I'm like, and at first, when I was a new realtor, I'm like, I didn't know I could go there trying to negotiate with the seller of the house. I'm like, oh, it's not on Zillow. There's no sign in front of it. No one's listing it, right? And I remember till this day, there was this guy called Franco. And he was there. He happened to be there, this Italian guy. And I went in. I'm like, hey, I got a buyer right here. I'll charge you 5%. We'll put an offer in today. And we did. And my first deal, I ended up getting both sides of the deal. From a for sale by owner.
Come on.
And man, it put me on a cool momentum. Now, obviously, I didn't stay in real estate. And now looking back, I think I could have done a lot more. I'm really happy. But yeah, I remember that deal. It was
I'm gonna be honest. Walking with you in real estate was the craziest thing because I worked. Okay, just to give you a little contrast here. You're being very
don't
humble.
put me in a bad light here.
Oh, I'm putting you in a little bad light. But he's like, oh, what's off limits? Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. But João Carlos, he got me connected with Carlos Figueira at Key Point Mortgage, who ended up like blessing my life and got me on my first Zillow campaign.
Right.
Carlos was answering my phone. I was a nobody agent. And Carlos ended up, João would be on the phone with Carlos talking about a deal or pre-approval because they had a Zillow campaign they were running.
Sure.
And then I was like, Carlos, you got to hook me up with Zillow. Come on. And then you'd be like, talk to him. I'm like, Carlos, what's going on? Come on. $300, $400, $600. What's up here? And I harassed Carlos to give me $500 a month on Zillow or $300 a month on Zillow or $600. Anyways, I remember you had this client, he was a Jewish client. He would give you like 6 listings or 3 listings. And João Carlos, literally, I'm not kidding you. This is the picture I want you guys to have. He'd be playing video games, eating cereal, his phone would ring, and he would make like $5,000. And it was just the most absurd thing ever. Because I'm over here, I'm like, what is he doing differently than I am? Because I worked for 4 months without a sale.
Well, yeah, it's pretty normal. Most realtors don't make money first couple months anyway. But yeah, dude, it was loyalty, bro. I took care of these people. And so they would come into Newark, they would flip these houses, and it was a Jewish family that would just give me these listings left and right. And It was just a funny time, man. It was a funny time. But here's
it
one
was
thing.
insane. I'll tell you. I was like, what is going
All right,
on?
so here's one thing I want to bring up about you because, I mean, obviously, you're doing really well right now.
Oh.
Here's one thing I admire about you. So for those watching, like Brendan, you pump out content all the time. By the way, that's very difficult. Most people don't have the consistency to do that. I know studies show most people don't get past like 20 podcasts, and that's why they fail, right?
Oh, really?
It's true. And even most content creators.
Have we created 20, Rami?
The
We've done
idea,
15?
I mean,
will we last to 20?
The idea though is that you're constantly pumping out content, even on Instagram, and consistency is probably like the unsung hero. And it's, I mean, people don't talk about how important consistency is.
Yeah.
It's like a seed. I mean, if you don't water the seed, it's not going to grow. You know, we're so used to in our culture going to Whole Foods or going to the supermarket and getting something that's already grown. We don't go through the process of actually putting it in the ground and seeing it grow. We just go and buy it. A lot of times we think success is the same thing. That we're just going to go and pick it up and it's going to be here. People don't see the work that you put in. But I want to bring this up. This goes back to this. I remember you're pumping out all this content. What people probably don't remember is in your first or second month in real estate, you're not even, bro, you haven't made a thing at this point. We were doing these short Instagram reels. I don't know if you remember this. It was back in the day when Instagram was starting to just become popular. We were calling it Blast of Brendan.
Oh,
Blast
man.
of
Yes.
Brendan. Remember?
I remember you told me you were
We had like a little jingle for it. I'd get it on my Instagram and be like, Blast of Brendan.
Yeah, I do. But go ahead.
So, and what we would do is, bro, we were making absolutely no money. At that point, I was
Okay,
doing
I was making some money at the time.
No, bro, it was the first month. You didn't
No,
make
first month. No.
Yeah,
No, but,
but-
you were doing Blast of Brendan. Oh, you were doing it, yes.
And so on my Instagram, we were calling it Blast of Brendan. And I would randomly like, okay, Brendan, give us tips for the day. And your advice would be like, today, have strength. And it was like the most basic things in the world.
Man,
right?
I was a basic man.
But,
it's true.
bro, there was
good.
what I appreciate about you, that there was already a dog in you, bro.
Oh, brother, I was born.
Bro, there was already a dog in you, bro. It
was
was
born.
an attitude even when you weren't making anything.
Brother, I was born with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was born with it, and my family bred it into me.
Right.
There was no other option.
Bro, Mamba mentality.
Mamba mentality, brother. Die or
can't
kill or
teach
be
beast.
killed. You can't change it.
Yeah.
Now a lot of that really, like I told you, is really trauma filled,
Right.
and really like shame filled. So, look, these things do help you grow. At a certain point, though, you have to ask yourself, like, what am I really here for? What do I really want to do? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Having those conversations. I do want you to share the TD Bank story. I'm not sure if you remember what I'm referencing.
Before I share the TD Bank story, let me share the Storm story.
Context. João Carlos and I, if you're confused on this podcast because we're talking so quick, we are both working at Exit Realty Lucky.
Right.
We have a very, 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 very intense broker, lead, Louis Nogueira. Love him, respect him, honor him, great man.
I mean, the
legend.
things he's been able to build is impressive.
Legend. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
So with all that said, though, we now have each other.
Right.
And we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And what you do in the office, it was door knocking. So João
Right.
Carlos and I, we would door knock together.
Right. And so we didn't, it wasn't even strategic. We were like, let's just find a street. Bro, we're in our car. We're like, all right, we're going to go knock. We're going to ask people if they want to sell their house. Bro, it starts pouring.
Rain.
It's like a monsoon.
Flooding.
It's like I'm out west somewhere and there's just a monsoon.
Typhoon. Not even a monsoon. A typhoon.
Hurricane.
Tsunami.
And this is before we get out of our car.
Wave crash.
You ever been inside of a car wash and it's so loud? It's
We're living in the car wash.
right? It's raining hard, bro. And here we are with these flyers about to go knock on doors.
And this is after hours of us I was getting frustrated with João Carlos because we went to one town and then we went to another one. Remember, we went to Carney first. Like, no, let's go to Carney. Let's go to Broadway.
Right.
She's like, João, we just got to knock on the door.
Horrible.
Yeah.
But bro, we're about to get out of the car. It starts raining, and I'm like, bro, let's go home, bro. I don't got the time for this, bro. At that point, I remember I think I had to preach the next day somewhere far, and I'm like, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember, let's go home. And bro, you're like, no, we're gonna go knock on these doors. And here you are in the middle of a hurricane. You get out of the car, bro. I remember going to this door. It's pouring, and you're hitting on these doors, right? You're like, bah, 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 bah. These people are confused. I remember this guy coming to the door, and he was like, yes. And you were like, do you want to sell your home?
It is
Bro,
true. That did happen.
Do you want to sell your home?
Because he didn't hear it with the rain. That's what it was. The rain was hitting the thing on top.
Rain was too hard. It was so
hitting the thing on top.
loud.
And
you're
he
like,
had a metal thing on top. Probably, that's
do
what I
you
think.
want to sell your home?
And that's why I'm asking you guys tuning in today. This free advertisement. Do you want to sell your home?
But
I ended up not getting that listing with the guy, but what ended up happening, and I tell all realtors this, all those experiences, what they do,
Right.
it's not about like whether or not you get the sale or you get the client. All that stuff, all it's doing is forming your character. It's forming your grit. It's forming your tenacity.
Right.
It's forming your resistance, your resilience. It's forming you as a man. And what those things are, what we call them, are priceless.
For sure.
And that's like Alex Hormozy always talks about this. It's like we do the work, not so the work gets done, but so that we are transformed in the process thereof. So we become better versions. With that said, I want to tell the TD story.
What's the TD story? I don't
Okay,
remember.
so you should take a degree of credit for my success for sure, but not because you got me onto real estate or just a 400, but because of this moment.
What?
3 months into my real estate career,
Okay.
I did not have a single deal. So we're talking about 10 weeks, and I'm working 80-hour weeks. I am the first one in, last one out, majority of the time. Very intense, right? You would say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm manually dialing. Super, 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 super intense. What ends up happening with João Carlos and I he takes me out, and I was going through a tough time. I say, João, I felt bad because he put $400 up for me, right? I say, João, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm sorry to say, but this is just not for me. We're in his
Volkswagen Jetta. 2012.
and he's going to deposit one of his checks. And I'm like, brother, this is not for me. I'm gonna figure something else out. And he takes a moment. You took a moment, and you were quiet. You said, you sighed. He said, okay, can you do me one favor? Can you wait one more month? I said, one more month? Hey, listen, João, this is not for me. You said, just another month, just 30 days. You can't. Okay, fine. That was on a Thursday.
Oh, you remember the day?
Why? I asked why. Because on Friday there was a call in at the front desk. Someone wanted to see a $220,000. This guy Phil wanted to see a $220,000 townhouse. $170,000 townhouse in Jamesburg. The guy at the front desk is like, I'm not going to go drive to Jamesburg.
And Jamesburg
to
is
show.
far from where we
It's
were.
an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm not going to go drive down there. Hour and 10 minutes. I'm not going to go drive down there. Brendan, do you want the lead? And he called me up. The guy's name was Caesar, the guy at the front desk.
Caesar.
I took that call. I showed the guy Phil the property. He ends up putting an offer in that weekend.
Just from 30 days.
My offer guy accepted that next week.
Yeah, for sure.
If I hadn't had gone to that car with you and I didn't go to TD Bank, deposit your check, you didn't give me that encouragement, I may have quit. I may have never even bothered to take on Caesar's $160,000 buyer. And that ended up being like my first check, which was $2,200, $2,300, $2,400.
Changed your life.
Brother, I've gotten checks that were $50-something thousand. I've gotten a commission check for like $54,000, right? Helping a seller and a buyer, double-ended property in Lyndhurst, $54,000. That $2,200 check meant more to me than the $5,400.
That's right.
$54,000.
Yeah.
Why? Because it just was all of it. It took 4 or 5 months. The deal died. I ended up getting them on another property. I didn't have the lockbox for Central Jersey MLS. I broke into houses. Yes, you caught me. I think there's a 7-year, how much time after a crime you can't get in trouble for. I would literally, if I didn't have a lockbox, I would raise the window, hop in the window to get inside. That's what I was doing out there. So my whole point of the story here, man, it's very simple with you. You really did bless me because on that TD Bank story, I probably was going to quit real estate. And this is 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago. Imagine where I would be now.
Just one more month.
Brother, you convinced me for a month. I got another day in me and I popped off.
Yeah.
I didn't pop off. I had a deal, but that deal was all I needed. One deal led to another. And at that point, I was working Buffalo Wild Wings Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights. So
And the rest is history, bro.
And Saturday, I would have to maybe work afternoon shift. So I would go Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to do showings. I would get to a restaurant at 11.
I didn't know that you were still doing
Oh, it was Buffalo Wild Wings. That's why I had to quit. So this is crazy. I'm working 80 hours. And then I almost went back to that City Bistro in Hoboken. Remember, I told you, listen, that's what it was. I got a job as a waiter at City Bistro.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I have to quit. And then the guy told me at City Bistro, he's like, listen. And the guy told me, he's like, because I was taking real estate calls in the kitchen. He was like, when you're here, you're here. When you're not here, you're not here. But when you're here, you got to be all in. I can't have you being a realtor as well.
Right.
I said, man, this is not for me. That's because of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, real estate changed my life. You were definitely a part of that. And shaped me.
And here's the thing, though, bro. When people talk about how, like, you got to have the Mamba mentality, reality is, bro, that some of the most successful people on the planet have intrinsic motivation. For you had been through the pits.
Oh, yeah.
And even in my life, man, I had been through the pits. I mean,
you've been through the bits.
yeah, for sure. And
You've had a tough time.
you know, we have been through the pits, bro. But the reality is, bro, if you have intrinsic motivation, bro, you become an animal. It's different nowadays. For me now, it's like I want to take care of my little baby girl that's on the way. I want to take care of my wife. And, you know, yeah, but dude, I'm just super proud of you, bro. I'm super, super proud of you.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
I do got to ask, is there anything you can maybe tell the listeners about me early on in my real estate career? Some things that you've seen, you know, we switched over to Joseph James. Shout out Jose Santiago. Anything you've seen that you think would surprise people to know about me? It's kind of, I'm interviewing you, interviewing myself, but I just kind of like a mirror because you see the behind the scenes stuff so often.
So I've seen you when you had nothing, and I see you when you have something a little bit more than before, you know. But bro, I remember one time, I forgot whose idea it was to go crash a wedding. Do you remember that?
That was my idea.
Was it your idea?
Of course, it was my idea.
So, brother, I remember. I'm like, at this point, first of all, I could have gotten in trouble because I was traveling, I was preaching. I had become a youth pastor recently, and here I am, convinced by you to go crash a wedding in just a town over from where I was a youth pastor.
Oh, wow!
And this wedding had what, 400 people?
It was at the Manor at the West Orange. We crashed 3 weddings in one day.
Right? And Brendan, bro, I remember we were in the cocktail hour.
I'm sending Rami the pictures right now.
Bro, hold on a second. We were in the cocktail hour, and here we are, bro, just like telling people, we're lying to everyone. Yeah, we're like so-and-so's like uncle, so-and-so's cousin, bro. We're just talking to everybody. And bro, the groom came up to you.
Oh, the first one was crazy. Yeah. No, we weren't talking to everybody. We were being low key, but they say, who do you know here?
Right.
And then it was our first one of the 3 we crashed.
So here's the thing about Brendan.
I have the pictures right here.
So that was the first wedding. I was over it by the 3rd wedding because there was a bunch of weddings.
You were over by the 2nd.
So here I am.
Tell him the 2nd wedding. So the first wedding we got asked to leave. The first wedding we got asked to leave.
So here's the thing. By the 3rd wedding, I'm in my car waiting for this dude. I'm like, bro, I'm over this, bro, because I struggle with secondhand embarrassment, bro.
Secondhand embarrassment.
You went in, bro. You were sitting at the table with people. You were dancing with people. You were eating a meal.
Oh,
brother, you were telling people.
I'm finding these pictures.
Everything.
Right now.
So here's one thing about Brendan is Brendan lives for the grandkids.
Wow.
Brendan lives so he can share stories for the grandkids. And that's where I got it from. It was hashtag for the grandkids you made up. Do you remember this?
I found, not only this, I found the video footage of this wedding.
Go ahead, show us.
Well, look, we're going to play this on the podcast. I'm sending this all, and I'll tell you this. I have camera footage of him abandoning me at the wedding. I have camera footage. And you're going to be, today's the day you say, hey, I was guilty. And funny enough, I'm actually wearing a similar suit I wear in all my business pictures.
Do you really? Oh, yeah, dude. I was wearing suspenders.
Yeah. Your memory's phenomenal.
Bro.
Okay, so let me tell you.
I was wearing suspenders. And, bro, I remember you eating at the table with these people.
Let me tell you my version of the story. So, my version, which is the truth version. We're dressed nicely. Where did this idea come from? I think I watched Wedding Crashers. And I was single. I think you were single at the time. Did you know Dyra back then?
Bro, I was dating Dara, bro.
Okay, you were dating.
I was dating.
I was single, ready to mingle.
Yeah.
Well, not so ready to mingle, actually. But whatever it was. So that morning, I took my mother for a hike. I put it on Instagram. We go on. I take you, to this. You pick me up. We go. You drove to this wedding venue. We walk into one wedding. There we go. Boom, boom. It was an interracial couple. Right?
Yeah.
And we were there. Very interesting vibes. We're probably the only Brazilians I can imagine and Portuguese people in the room.
Yeah.
And then we end up going there. Wonderful time. Beautiful marriage. Beautiful ceremony, honestly. We end up dancing. We end up talking in cocktail hour. Then we get to who do you know? We get kicked out. That part is true. The second wedding, that was like maybe a 200-person wedding. 150 people wedding. The second wedding was a maybe 40, 50 people wedding. So when we sat down, we walked into a room, everyone looked at us, and obviously you already walked into the room, you just keep going confidently. So we sat down, we started talking to a few people, but it was so small, I was like, João Pires, we gotta go. And this whole time, João's like, Brendan, this is a bad idea, we gotta leave. This is not right. We're doing the wrong thing, Brendan. He was right, I was wrong, but in a way, I was right. So the third one, here was the crazy thing. This was the biggest wedding of the whole venue at the Manor in West Orange.
Right.
They had this like maybe 200-300 person wedding. Beautiful reception, a beautiful ceremony. Me and João Carlos sitting there, and the whole time I'm putting all this on Instagram. During the reception, the cocktail hour, João Carlos dips. He says, "Man, listen, I'm gonna be out." I say, "João Carlos, you cannot leave me. You have to stay." He goes, "Brendan, I'm out." I go, "All right, then I'll find my own way home. Bye." So then João Carlos left me to die basically, I end up having a great time at the wedding. I dance. I have a great night. All Latino, like it was a Latin wedding, super, super Latino, Hispanic, dancing, loving life. And I end up actually, funny enough, getting friends with one of the groomsmen, and I give my business card to one of the people at the table.
My man was out here getting business at crashing weddings.
Yes, and then I took a picture with the groom and bride. And that's the reason why that's a cool story that you may never know. That was the night that my then like cute, I thought she was super cute, my wife, now my wife, Deb, that's when she DM'd me. So people may not know this. My wife actually slid into my DMs. Yes.
Bro, she chased you, brother.
She chased me, brother.
You were the high value man.
I'm the high value man. I don't know any low value men, but I was definitely high value. All men value. Come on. But I'm telling you, for real, man, I literally, my wife said, knock, knock, and you will, ask and you will receive.
I didn't know that story, bro.
So she DM'd me that night. She says, oh, where is this? Because I was taking my mother on a hike that morning. I said, oh, it's in Nyack, New York. If you're up to it, I'd love to take you. And then she said, oh, what a coincidence. I just moved back in with my parents right next to Nyack. I said, meant to be, house Thursday, 4:30. I had some of that liquid courage because you already abandoned me.
Hold on, how'd you know her though?
Because we kind of grew up together in church. I didn't know, she was friends with my sister. I didn't really know her. I dated her friend in high school. So we followed each other.
That's when I met you. Yeah.
So, yes, literally, Moana. So basically, I end up though, I text her and stuff. Why? I'm not that smooth to be like, Papa, Rico. I'm not that smooth of a guy.
You're upfront.
I'm not that upfront. And honestly, I'm really not that smooth.
You're very upfront.
But not that to that level. But what happened was I had some wine in me, fair enough. But more than anything else, I was already on the rush of the crashing the weddings.
Right.
So before I even thought, because I was trying to be single during that time, I was like, I'm not going to date anybody. I just want to be single. But I was like, all right, text, send, bang. Next thing I know, I'm on a date. And then the rest is history. Now she's my lovely wife. She's my partner. She's my friend. She's my mother, my son. It's wonderful, honestly. But it's funny too because really in my life you have some key moments that you are just involved in.
But you too.
Oh, I appreciate that for sure.
But you too. I mean, also who you marry is very, very important.
Oh, who you marry is. I would say this: there's 3 big decisions in your life. Period. These are the top 3 decisions in your life. Period. No matter what you tell me, these are it. Number 1, who you say God is. Number 2, who you say you are. Number 3, who you marry.
That's pretty intense.
There's no other big decision. There's no other decision bigger than that. The only decision probably more important than that is for you to buy a house in Newark. No, I'm just kidding.
It's so funny, bro.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, it's like who you marry is just so huge, and that's the whole thing. Like we talk about turning a house into a home. It's like central to our mission here at the Slow Team, and we realize that we can sell someone a property, and that's why when people start selling, we don't use your home. We say this is your property. When they're selling it, we say this is your property. When they're buying it, we say this is your house. It's up to you to turn it into a home. Yeah. Because and also it's very hard to have a home if you're coming home and there's a conflict in the marriage every day. For sure. It's very tough.
For sure.
You'll never feel at home.
So I'm going to share one more thing about you that I remember. You inspired me greatly, brother. And so, by the way, our relationship has always been very encouraging. So people are like, why do you guys talk to each other like that? Because I feel like we build each other up, and I think we've always done that well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so
this is the speed at which we talk.
It is the speed by which this is just us talking.
You're not on 2x here. This is 1x.
And so as people are watching this, I don't know if people know me or anything. So I became a youth pastor from this, and it was pretty cool what we saw. I mean, we were at that point. My wife and I were doing ministry. We were traveling on the road preaching all this stuff, and our youth ministry, bro. I learned a lot from business doing real estate from youth ministry.
I'll be interested. How'd that translate?
I was going to say something about you though. I remember when I met you. We were at Nyack College. We were 18 years old, and it was a dude named Kyle Morris. He was on the golf team.
Oh, here we go.
He was on the golf team. His name was Kyle Morris. You looked at him, you would never think he was on the golf team. And so, bro, I remember you coming into my dorm. I didn't even know you, bro. And Kyle was sitting there, and you sat by the bedside, and bro, you told him about the gospel. You told him about Jesus. And I was 18 years old. At that point, I had known about some sort of call to ministry. I didn't know how to put 2 and 2 together. But bro, hearing you share the story of the gospel to him, the way you communicated it, bro. After an hour or so, I remember walking out of my door and being like, I want to communicate the way Brendan does. I want to be able to articulate the story of Jesus the way that he just did. And it was because of you left me on this journey of like, I want to articulate something that good like he did. And now, I mean, you're looking probably like 12 years later, and bro, you're around 12 years later, I've had the honor to preach the gospel, overseas, for example, right?
Oh yeah, you really got in.
And so God used you in my life, the way you articulated. And so, bro, I think the moral of the story is people don't understand how connected things are in life. Like you walking into my dorm and then my family being in real estate and then me connecting you to my family in real estate. We're just making these connections. I think the thing that people often do is they view life so linear. It's either black or white.
Very binary.
Everything is connected. Your time at university or your time doing research or your time in real estate or whatever it is.
Yeah, it really, there's so much intersection.
All things work together for the good of those who love him. One of my favorite Bible passages, and I think it's so true. I don't know, bro. I just think that's a good moral of the story, bro, just to take away because it's like everything is somehow.
If you really think about it, because we met, and it's so funny because you were in Carney. I was probably in Carney during the same time.
100%, yeah.
We never knew each other. We have a lot of mutual friends, never knew each other.
Yeah.
A lot of connections through the church, never knew each other. You lived only in Rahway, 30 minutes away, never knew each other. Went to Nyack, just so happened to be on the same floor. Yeah. Think about that, okay? Yeah, I think you're right. Same floor. End up
same dorm, yeah.
same dorm. We end same dorm floor. Right.
Yeah.
The long story short is, there you see the connection. Then from there, we stay friends, mutual. We go through a hardship. You go through a hardship. I go through a hardship. Similar hardships. We end up doing ministry together. Right, working with people who are experiencing homelessness. Years.
Well, that's another one.
And then we starting like a young adults ministry alongside many other wonderful people. Now Mariano I believe is still serving in that organization.
They just handed it off, bro, 10 years later.
They did? Oh,
yeah,
wow, powerful.
Yeah, they handed it off, yeah.
Yeah, nice. So with that said, now you fast forward even more. After college, I go through my hell experience. I come back on my feet. I get out, and I don't come out on my feet. I come out on my head, my face, and you give me the opportunity to get into real estate. Your godfather, Carlos Figueira,
and my cousin, yeah,
the owner of Key Point Mortgage, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Not only that, he runs Avelino, his brother, starts doing title, gets me connected with title. Carlos puts me on to leads. Mm-hmm. We know in real estate, no leads, no money, no business. So realistically, the Lord had you in had that placement of where you were going to be at on that floor. He knew when that happened, he had in mind Carlos. You see what I'm saying? And then the same way I was on that floor, he had in mind all the people that you were going to speak to throughout your ministry. And it's funny because I went into real estate because I have a record. Vocational ministry was not for me at the time. And the more and more I got into real estate, I realized, wait, this is my business is a ministry. Business 100%. As a ministry. That's how it should be handled. And at the same time, you actually had the real estate hookups your whole life. You had people who could put you on. And you went the other way. You went into ministry. So where I had no real estate connections, I want to go into ministry, and we share the ministry interest. I end up not going into vocational ministry, pursuing real estate. You have, hey, I'm hungry. I want to. Real estate sounds great. This makes sense for me. Not really means go in ministry. Then you into ministry.
Yeah.
Right. So you try the real estate thing. Of course you went to school for. You were in school for what? Worship.
No, I was a pastoral. Actually,
pastoral,
I dropped out of college because I became a youth pastor during that time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just like, well, why am I going to be in this?
That's what. Yeah. So you went in for pastoral ministry. I remember that. Yeah. So just so interesting. To your point, it's not linear. Things are much more connected than we want to imagine.
Let me just say this too, though, bro. I don't think people understand this. So I'll use the illustration of my parents getting married. They got married at the age of 16 years old. They didn't have any money. The beautiful thing about that is that they built their lives together.
Yeah,
they were up
that's true.
And they were down. They were up and down. But the point is what happens, ready? You grow together. I think, bro, one thing that people don't talk about is relationships, and that you can go through this life together and not walk away when things get tough. Bro, I look back 12 years now. I'm so grateful for our relationship because we've saw each other at our worst. We've seen each other at our best. And that's not going to change till the day that we get old. We're going to see each other's ups and downs too. Bro, and I would just encourage everybody watching, get some friends. Friends that love you. It's not transactional. You both care about each other. I think that's one of the most unsung things that in this industry I think that people should have. You need someone to encourage you when you feel like giving up.
Yeah.
You need someone to hey, give it another month. We need someone to keep you accountable. Hey, that was stupid. You should someone calls you out and you not being ethical. You need some people around you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's the small things. It's not big things. I think realistically looking at how real estate has shaped my life, it's brought people into my life that I'm so they're inviting me in such intimate expressions of their life, right? When it comes to buying a home or selling a home or buying an investment property. And I still talk to my clients, some of my clients weekly. I sold them a house 4 or 5 years ago. See what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So I want to ask you, like, how did that, and then I guess end here, but I'm really, really interested. How did going from real estate to vocational ministry, how did that translate?
Well, I think that if you're in real estate, by the way, I have different views on it now. People think of like, you're in real estate or you're in, full-time ministry. The way I view it now is that wherever you are a full-time minister. Like God wants to use you wherever you're placed. And that could be in the banking industry. That could be here in real estate. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And so I view that different. But yes, pragmatically, there is a vocational ministry. And at that point, man, I got to be honest with you. I got really passionate. Bro, Jesus changed my life to the point where I had, contemplated suicide as a teenager. I had a crazy encounter. I saw Jesus do some crazy things. He saved my life twice in one accident and another indication. And so I remember being like, man, I want to give him my life. And at that point, I just started getting opportunities to speak and starting to get opportunities to like speak into the lives of youth,
and this
teenagers.
Is after real estate or
this
real
is
estate?
It's all mixed up in there. It's
but
all.
Do you think you were licensed when this, like, because I know you?
Yeah, I was licensed. It was all mixed up in there before I got, but you couldn't do it.
But that's what I'm saying. So you were licensed. Of course, now you're saying it's together,
right?
But okay, at that point, then, if it's so together, would you go back? If you go back, would you have continued in real estate and on ministry?
No, I don't regret some of the stuff I did. I think when we had left, we were taking over a very large youth ministry. We're talking very large, and at that point, it had become one of the largest youth ministries in the region at that point, and over in Sayreville, New Jersey. And there was just no way I could do both. When you're talking about several hundreds of students that come into your youth ministry and you preaching on the weekends and you traveling, all that stuff. And by the way, my wife and I bought a house during that time and we were getting married. So I wanted to pay for my wedding cash and all that stuff. It was just, I don't regret it. But I will say I learned a lot of lessons in real estate that prepared me to go into the ministry world.
Which goes to say, like, we're doing the work, not so the work gets done, but they said we are better off at the end of the work being done.
100%. And by the way, I know stories of vice versa, of people that were doing something else and now they're doing real estate and they feel like this is their calling.
Yeah.
It's never linear. And I don't know, bro, life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. You bloom or you're planted. If that's in real estate, plant. Bloom.
Plant, water, the whole nine.
100%. And you said it yesterday. The grass is not greener on the other side.
It's really not. It's like I'm telling you, that's the biggest lie. It's always there. Reality, you just got to be content and be a steward of where you're at.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we pretty much transitioned well. Is there anything in real estate that, from your experiences in real estate, that in particular helped transfer it over to?
Yeah. So when I got into real estate, I saw many. You know this now, right? You're a sales guru, and really, you've learned a lot. And I'll call you that, right? Reality is, I remember watching a bunch of salesmen and how they operated, what they used to do. One thing I learned in real estate, especially when I was going around showing homes, I would try to sell these homes to people that wouldn't even bring them value to life. So I was trying to fit something that didn't even fit. And little by little, I remember learning that one of the best salesmen know how to provide value to people and know how to answer people's questions and give them what they're looking for. And I started doing a little bit better in real estate when I would do those things, when I actually provided a service to people. And when I got into ministry, that's exactly what it is. You want to actually provide a service and you want to help people. Wow. That the moment that they encounter you, they're better off.
Wow.
And so as a realtor, my question for even people in business is like, when people deal with you, are they better off or are they worse off? Wow. Are you actually providing something that's going to help their family? And I learned that in real estate, bro. Because I remember these single moms would pull up with like 2 to 3 kids in their van. And I would be like, do I want to try to sell something that I know is not going to be good for them? Even the smallest thing of like, sometimes when you buy a new property, there would actually, what's it called when they remove taxes for like 10 years?
Tax abatement.
5
right? years.
5 years, right? Should
they'll remove it? They make, like, let's say your tax would be 15, now it's $4,000 for 5 years.
Yeah.
Think about it like that.
Bro, this might sound really, really basic to some people, especially people in the industry, but there are certain times when you close on a deal, like the taxes are $1,800.
Yeah.
No one tells them that 5 years later it's going to jump to 9 or 10.
Or, brother, you want to hear this?
Right, but that's so you see the service and providing,
I had a client who the taxes were from $7,000. They closed. Newark raised their taxes to $13,000.
It happened to us in our property
within 1 year.
It happened to us when we bought our purple.
What happened with there?
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know.
It went from 59 when my wife and I bought our single family house here in Newark. It went from, I think it was like 5,900 to like 12,000 within the first. Yeah, it's a true story.
And this is 3 years ago. So right now your taxes would be what, 14, 15? It'd be crazy.
I have no idea.
They raise the taxes too much. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's too much. And then they talk about how they want people to own property.
Yeah, you got to be careful with these taxes, man.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with these taxes.
But I guess the point is, one thing I learned, especially in real estate, is, man, I want people to be better off once they're done dealing with me. And be completely honest with you, bro, my first year, bro, I don't think people were better off after dealing with me. I think I was a bad teammate. I think I was a bad employee. I think I was selfish. I don't actually think I did my job right. And I could look back now and be like, man, I wish I helped people.
The video game and cereal.
The video game and cereal.
Making the 5K on the call, though.
You know what I mean?
You made the 5K on the call, though. Got to give you respect. I got to give you respect. 10K on that call. I was like,
oh my gosh, man.
No, but you know what? I think it's good that you have the insight and perspective, and you can look back and make the changes now.
100%.
I think to myself, there are a lot of clients I'm very proud of how I serve them. In the beginning, there are a few clients who I've called and say, hey, I feel like I didn't do it right by you. I didn't mean to. It was just, I had good intentions, but I was inexperienced. And I warn realtors all the time, like, listen, you're young and you're naive. And you're young too. I said, yeah, but I'm experienced a few hundred times now where we just crossed 800 houses sold.
Total?
Right? Yeah, my team and I in our history, in like 800, just over 800 houses. Right? We're now over here, I sold 5 houses. Oh my gosh, listen to me. João Carlos, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Real Live.
Wish we could talk more. This was fun, bro.
This was good. I'm
got to
really
do a part 2.
Part 2.
We got to get Carlos on that one.
Oh yeah, the group, and we'll just drill Carlos questions. No, guys, but listen, if you do want to check out João Carlos, we always tag him in Instagram, so please show him some love, support, and we are very grateful for your time. Thank you, man.
Love you, bro.
Love you.